Okay, I think they're recording and your whole team's back, President. So it's whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good. So we're up. Let's see what we're going to do next.
Business development.
Business development. I see it. Okay. Let me. Keith, you have the count number?
16,000.
11,600.
Oh, yeah, 11,600.
Yeah, I was like,
600.
to we second to 11600.
Got it. All right, Laura, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you all. As you can see, my budget is pretty simple this year. I think the only major change that you might see is a reduction in rent, and that's simply because Caroline will be switching offices and Debbie will be taking it over. So finance is assuming that that expense. But other than that, pretty much everything carries over from last year. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, let's open it up. Mir, why don't you go first?
I just had one that was about the vehicle maintenance account for $12,000. That seemed a little high, only because you have a few people in your department and there's other departments that have more vehicles.
Yeah, so
There's
that
nice
is,
cars. They're really nice. And they got those like Lambos and stuff.
don't be getting me in trouble, Andy.
Wow.
No, so that is for the downtown trolley falls under my account. So that is for the maintenance of the downtown trolley. And strictly that. We don't have any other vehicles except for those two trolleys. And obviously we didn't see them used as much this year because of COVID. But we are starting to rent them out privately and may take into consideration bringing back the downtown trolley route once COVID has subsided. So those vehicle maintenance funds will be important.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Angela, why don't you go next?
No questions.
Thank you. April?
No questions?
Hey. Michelle?
No questions.
Can't let you go without asking a question, Laura.
Okay, fire away.
Consulting fees. What's that
Consulting
for?
fees, did we change that, Andy? That was a carryover from last year. And we actually reshifted those funds. I believe it was originally budgeted for the port feasibility, but then we transitioned it over to the downtown fiber grant that we administer. So we've moved over the funds from this fiscal year to that, but we may need to do that again for the next fiscal year.
Because this is showing 15,000.
It is, okay.
Yeah, President Heath, when the budget file was put together, it just hadn't moved yet. So that's one of our adjustments we would be making. We didn't want to move it out of the account, but it would be still residing out of Laura's budget, that $15,000, but it'll be for this grant program rather than a consulting line item.
So it's a reclass.
Correct. Just to a
Okay.
different account line item.
Yeah.
I thought we found 15,000 for the assistant fire marshal. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can
Sorry.
try. Who do we leave? Who hasn't spoken yet or asked questions? Michelle?
I think Mary hasn't gone yet.
Here?
I asked the first question.
Yes, he did.
I thought you did. Okay. I think we've asked, I think everybody's asked the questions they need to ask. My only one was the consulting fees. I better not ask this one. All right. I'll keep that one. I don't want to let any cats out of the bag. All right. Good. Laura, thank you for all you do. I think everybody, how many times do you visit all these places? I go into 3 stores, 3 restaurants, and they said they've seen, yeah, Laura's been in. I'm like, yesterday, and
Mm, Lord.
is that all you just walk around and?
I try to make my
fantastic.
rounds at least on a monthly basis. It doesn't always happen, but some of them have me on speed dial. Matt Thompson calls me once a week, so a lot of them, have a direct line to me. So I just try and stay in touch with them. So
Well, there's a lot of praise for you out there. I will tell
Thank
you
you.
that. People appreciate what you're doing, and we do too. So
it's been a tough year for our businesses. So I'm just trying to be there for them where I can.
we thank you for that.
Thank
Keep up the
you.
good work.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
So we've got procurement up next.
Procurement. Uh-oh. Here's trouble. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
All right. Give me an account here so I can see.
16000, that's procurement. Are we doing the government office building while I'm on too?
Yeah, we'll do the same thing. We'll do
Okay.
we'll do it the
So-
same time. Let's do 16,000 first.
Sure. Let me
All
know
right.
when you're ready.
Take us through it.
All right. So the Department of Procurement does have 4 full-time staff. That's the same as every other year. We're fully staffed at a quantity of 4. It's pretty much a level budget to last year. We do have a couple computers that we need for this year from the IT replacement schedule or the IS replacement schedule. There was one essential item that I believe was put through. It's an additional $5,000 for additional energy management program support from our energy consultant that could be used for a couple of different things. Back in 2012, the city had a 5-year energy management plan. It took us through 2017. We haven't had one since then. That's a possibility where we could expend some of those funds. The other thing that we could look at doing is putting out a request for information and possibly a request for proposal for what's called virtual net metering. Here you're working with solar behind the meter and so on and so forth, so that we could look to possibly have a renewable energy source for the city's electricity needs. Right now, we're currently we're just in the first year of a 5-year energy procurement contract where we did get a very favorable rate, and we do have wind renewable energy credits, but there's also the thought of if we want to look into solar as well.
Any questions on the budget from council people? We'll start with April.
No questions.
Okay.
Not a one.
Angela?
Good job, Jennifer.
None. No questions.
Michelle?
No questions.
Here?
No questions.
Only thing I see, was there a change in grades on the clerical? Because that went up.
Yeah, for the senior buyer had a career ladder move.
Perfect. Okay. That was my question. Everything else looks good.
Great.
And the 5,000 you were referring to appears to be in here. So
Consulting.
yeah, consulting. Yep. So your retirement number seems really high. Oh, no. Yeah. No, that's not you. Sorry.
Oh, darn.
You stayed the same. You're pretty flat. The whole thing is pretty flat. So that's good. Okay. Jennifer, thank you. Thank you. And please thank your team for what they do.
Oh.
It's really, the process is really seamless now. And we've got it down to us. You've got it down to a science. And things are,
Awesome.
yeah, it's really,
Good. Would you like to go through the government office building next?
yeah, let's go through that.
And that's
I need-
19500.
Okay,
Ready?
go ahead.
All right. So as you're all aware, the county and the city own and really operate and share the expenses jointly of the government office building. So I sort of assist with creating that budget. I work very closely with the Wycomico Department of General Services. It's really a collaborative effort between the city and the county to ensure that the building is well taken care of. But the county's Department of General Services really does lead that charge because they have a department that's, you know, specifically related to building maintenance and building oversight and so on and so forth. So I work quite closely with Pate Matthews on those things. Any of the approved work and improvements to the building are then coordinated, luckily, by the county's General Services Department. Comparing last year's budget to this year's budget, there's a wee bit of an increase in the operating expenses. Now, some of the expenses we share jointly with the county. Some that are in the munis budget, we take care of solely. For instance, we might share the cleaning costs for the common areas, but then we assume our own costs for the cleaning areas just for the city areas. It just makes it a little bit easier. Alarm systems are panic buttons for city offices. So some of these expenses aren't a 50-50, they're solely city incurred expenses. Really a couple of the changes in the buildings account, which is 534301. It's a little bit higher than last year. It's only because there's a little bit of an increase for water and sewer and then cleaning services as well. Every year there's a rate increase for cleaning services. In the next account, which is equipment, which is 534302, there's, I'll say, a sizable increase over last year. And it's because last year I budgeted incorrectly, very incorrectly. I think I budgeted $500 when it should have been more like $5,000. It was a complete miss on my part.
It's only a zero.
I missed a zero. And then in operating 546006, that's the account from which we pay the security guard personnel. So we plan for a slight increase there every year for salaries and so on and so forth. That's pretty much the operating expenses. I'm not sure where on your sheets any CIP items come in, but there's really two planned for the building for this year. It's the air handler replacement.
Your handle on the roof.
The engineering services are being done in this fiscal year. And then putting a $10,000 placeholder in for government office building security improvements. At this time, I don't have an idea of what they look like. I know that there's been meetings that County General Services is involved in, meeting with the Sheriff's Department, talking to local law enforcement, but there's not been any specific recommendations that have come of that yet, nor any cost figures associated with it. At least that's made it to my level.
It's sort of a semi-related issue. Is the transformer project complete?
Yes.
Okay, good. So everything's done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the
Okay.
roof just got completed too.
Oh, good. Okay.
That was this year's project.
Questions from the council on the building? Mir?
No questions. Thank you, Jen.
Okay. Angela?
No questions.
Thank you. Michelle?
No questions.
Thank you. April?
No questions. Great job.
Very much. Jen, thank you for all you do. Please
Yeah.
thank your crew.
I will.
And I will say that in spite of COVID, things have been running really smoothly, which is really good.
Yes, we're pleased. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everybody. Thanks for your support.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I see Human Resources on the phone.
That's me.
Jeannie, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm fine, I'm fine. Okay, I need an account number.
18500.
Gotcha. All right, we're ready to go. You have the floor.
Well, I need to see the items. I thought, Keith, you were going to have that stuff on screen for us.
Here it comes. You ask and you shall receive.
I know he is the man when it comes to Excel spreadsheets. He and Andy both are pretty lickety split on being able to get those up. If we look at it, the clerical salaries, it's just a step increase. That's the increase. If we go down a little further for retirement for employees, this is just us in our department because of the increases in salary. We had to show some increase in retirement. Then we go all the way down to, I believe, advertising is where we have the next big hit. Now, the only reason why I asked for an increase in the advertising was because in order to pay for one advertisement for a position in our department, it would be like $399. And I want to be able to, if anything were to change in the HR department in a relatively quick fashion, that we could, expand that out from the $399 to be able to put something in the guide and the Salisbury Independent. Those are hard copy newspapers that have a little tiny bit of shelf life, but certainly more than an overnight newspaper would. Linda, myself, and Courtney are the only 3 staff members we have. If either one of us were, to leave, it would really put major stress on the other individuals that would be left behind. So we'd want to get the advertising out in full force in order to be able to, get a replacement. And we have had some health issues in our department, not COVID related, but just health issues that put one of our staff members out for almost 2 months. And, it's a lot of stress on the other individuals that are left behind. So we want to be able to replace that position quickly. So we needed more money. Don't know that we need all that much. I had also asked for another individual for the department. So I think I was thinking ahead for that, to be able to advertise if we added an additional staff member to the department. And it looks like it didn't make it to the mayor level. So we could probably adjust that backwards down to maybe.
Jeannie, that's for that 10,000, that's also the ICMA, the retirement stuff. Am I making that up?
No, the retirement match program,
Uh-huh.
we had doubled it last year almost, well, close to doubling to $50,406. And we left it at that because we are looking to gain more individuals participating in the Empower retirement program. That is where the city of Salisbury matches 25% of up to 4% of your salary if you put it away in this 403 or this 457B account, which is, pre-taxed. So they can put money away in addition to their Maryland state retirement. They can have other income available for them in the future. So since it is a new company, I think last year was our first year in. We're now working on our second year, and we've been, rolling the campaign out. They don't have to wait till open enrollment. You can jump in anytime you want to. So we just added 3 new funds, and we think that's going to be helpful in enticing individuals into signing up for that. We've even enticed the LEOPS group, who do not get a match on this because their LEOPS state retirement is so high. I mean, we put in like 33% of their salary for them, whereas non-LEOPS, we put in about 8.3%. So they've even started putting money in there just so they know it at the time of retirement, they may get a payout check, which would be relatively large. And they'd want to avoid, that big tax burden on it and put it away in a fund that they could access later on, or even right away, actually, because you don't have to be 59 and a half with a 457 to have access to it once you've retired. So we did up the monies there for the matching piece, but not this year. We did it last year.
Okay. I have one thought.
Okay.
And I'd like to hear the comments from the rest of the council as to this $10,400 for, I wouldn't have any issue. I'd like to put this on the plus minus list, Keith. And the reason I would is if something happened where we would need to advertise, we could do a budget amendment, couldn't we? As opposed to putting it in there and not, because this is one of those items I think we could use to offset some other needs if we had to. What does the rest of the council think of that? Mir?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jack.
Michelle?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Angela?
Yeah, that's fair and reasonable.
April?
I agree, Jack.
Okay. Let's do that, Keith. Let's put it on the plus minus, and we'll come back and when we talk about our adjustments, we'll go through this. And I'm not saying that Jeannie to take it off, but I'm just saying, let's look at it and talk about it, because if it's an if item as opposed to a definite item, I don't have a problem with budget amendment if something happened. But
Right, and we definitely did not get approved at the mayoral level to add an additional staff member. So I would have no issue with that being cut back.
Okay, good. All right.
Council President Heath, I think we have an internal thing, and I can't bring up enough slides. The 772, that line item right now includes a $10,000 earmark for the ICMA contribution increase. I think we have it written down wrong, Keith and Jeannie. I think we did a $400 increase for additional advertisement, but that $10,000 was for the ICMA additional contribution.
Oh,
Looking at our essential things, I think we may have it's in the wrong account. So I don't know if that's an area that we want to adjust. I keep being the bearer of bad news, but we can look at that internally, but it may be something that's just.
No, but I just want to get it on the list, Andy.
Okay.
To make sure that we if we have an opportunity, we take care of it.
Okay.
Like I said, if it's an if item, that's different. But if it's an expense item, I don't have an issue with it. But it just sounded, I just thought it would be, if you get it on the list, then we can just change it when we talk about it. Okay. Any questions from the council on Jeannie's budget? Let's start with April. We'll start with you this time.
No, I have no questions, Jack.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mir?
No questions, Jeannie. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela?
No questions. Thank you very much.
Michelle?
No questions.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I had was that the advertising line, and we're going to look at that and make sure that it's for what Andy was talking about. And then that's it. I don't have any other questions. Jeannie, thank you for all you do. Thank your staff, please.
I will. Thank you all so much for what you do.
No problem at all. We get paid the big bucks for that.
Yeah, I know. One of these days, maybe I'll get promoted into that.
Oh, I don't think you want our job.
Now, because I don't live in the same county, so.
All right. Thanks, Jeannie. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
Bye now.
President Heath, we have Dave Ryan. He's going to skip up a couple spots ahead because he's ready. So SWED is ready to present.
Great. Hi, David.
Good morning, Jack, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. You guys know how to run through a budget. I was at 3:30 today, I think it was. And like, wow, this is.
Well, we have good people preparing it so that the questions are very easily answered.
Yeah, well, I read it, actually read it online this morning, and I thought it was pretty well prepared. So it's a little wonder why it's going through so smoothly. I do want to introduce Tony Nichols, who's with us today. He's the president of SWED this year, and he's still employed with SWED, even though the salary is zero. And he actually pays us for the honor to be president of SWED. So I appreciate him joining us.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, how you doing, guys? It is an honor, and I am paid handsomely.
So we're requesting an equivalent amount of money that the city has invested us in this year for next year, and that's $50,000. We, as many of you know, and you have something in your email box right now, I'm sure that we're opening up four new COVID relief grant funds for restaurants, nonprofits, hotels, and those wishing to go to an online sales platform or enhance existing online platform. This is from Governor Hogan's Relief Act. It's about $1 million or so we'll deploy to businesses all throughout Wicomico County in the next several weeks. We've deployed in excess of $12.8 million to about 1,200 or so businesses in the past year. Many of those in Salisbury. Most of those are in Salisbury. And they totaled a little over 4,300 jobs that were attached to those grant funds. So we'll do these new funds the same way we did the last. We'll do it in a user-friendly way. We'll do it in a way that gets the money out to the businesses quickly, and we'll do it in an accountable way. And we look forward to doing that. And he knows, and I don't want to put him on the spot, but I will anyway with Jack. I appreciate the early on back in March and April, we really didn't know what kind of programs to come out with, what was really needed, how to do it, who to target. And one piece of advice Jack gave was simple, keep it simple. And that has resonated throughout the year with not me, but the business community. Back in March and April, it was a complicated time. It was a challenging time. It was a confusing time. You had PPP, state unemployment issues, all kinds of things. The last thing we needed to do was make it more onerous for our business community to apply for help that they needed through no fault of their own. And on our website, we have a map listing an address of pinpoint of every one of those grants. And I think you'll see very clearly that we reached out to all corners of Wicomico County. And those that we did not get early, we reached out ourselves, walking up and down streets, making sure we left no stone unturned. So we played a key role. We didn't anticipate that role, we welcome that role. And I think collectively, I want to thank Julia and Andy and the whole team for their help in that whole process. I think it's widely recognized at the state level, the collaborative spirit that we had in deployment of these funds, and the alacrity and the swiftness that we deployed this capital to businesses that needed it the most. And I gave each one of those 1,200 businesses my cell phone, and they weren't shy to call. They're still not shy to call, and we welcome that. But we knew public relations was part of that. And if you haven't had a lot of negative comments on programs like that, then thank you. I think it's been widely received. Tony, any comments on the private sector there, what you're hearing?
Well, just I have had clients that have been recipients of funds, and actually had the privilege of delivering one to a client where we were able to increase by a small amount, but a small amount during this time is even a big amount. Was able to hand deliver that myself to the client. And it's this particular client, small little restaurant, and their primary business was literally sustaining the other business. And I know you've heard story after story after story of that being the case. But to see and hear the impact that we've been able to have on these businesses, and even greater than that, the work that Dave has put in, the work that Dave continues to put in, the man never stops working ever. And the care and thoughtfulness that he goes through with every single applicant, call, question is truly remarkable. So I think any future funds coming in, Dave, you're gonna have to pay me for all this. Any future funds coming in will be in good hands with Dave.
We're good. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's not necessary, but we're paid to do this, and
Yeah.
We should get that money out, and we should get it out quickly to the people who need it. We do that, and I thank you for your support. From an economic development perspective, we're happy to help Photronic Comtech locate an additional operation or enhance their operation here in Northwood Industrial Park. They actually closed the Chinese manufacturing operation and moved it to Northwood Industrial Park. This was pre-pandemic, and we're starting to see more of that, especially from a supply chain standpoint, especially in the life science sector. I think life science, human and animal. We have about an 800, 900 employees strong sector. These are companies like Tishcon and Trinity and Cadista Pharmaceuticals, which is one of the fastest pharmaceutical firms, growing firms in America. They're up over 400 people right now. So we see that and 5G technology, the deployment, furthering the growth of our industrial base over the next 5 years, frankly, with the microwave sector and that life science sector. Our goals are really to identify new economic sectors so that we can continue to diversify that industrial base, so we're less reliant upon any one sector for our economic viability. Wind, I think, is fair game going forward. Aeronautics, I think, is fair game going forward. We're doing this collectively, as Andy knows, a port study. That's fair game going forward in terms of identifying new economic sectors so that the diversity of our base continues to be one of our greatest strengths from an economic standpoint. We know we're short on space. We're short on residential space in the marketplace today, and we're short on industrial space. So we're looking to develop new ways to create new industrial space, either by building or repurposing existing space on the marketplace. And I thank Julia again for joining myself and I think it was Mike Dunn when we met with purchasers of the center at Salisbury. And there's some really attractive space there that could be repurposed. And Zach and I are in my office will be visiting that later this week. So identifying those sectors, new space, we're going to continue to manage the COVID programs. And I think strengthening these partnerships, and look no further than hear from us at SWED. we want to reach out more to all of our partners. We're a two-person office, and we've managed to maintain a cost structure that allows that, but we're able to do it because of the wingspan and the partnerships that we have. And I'm talking the county, the city of Salisbury, the other municipalities, our collective chamber and greater Salisbury. All of these partnerships, they matter here. And when we first started this whole coronavirus task force, it was through, I think, the Greater Salisbury Committee. And we joined the forces together, and we didn't agree on everything, but we knew we had to come together for the community. That's a great strength that we have in this community that others don't. So we want to continue to play that role. Look no further than here in terms of outreach for that strengthened partnership, and we look forward to it. I'm happy to go on. We can go on for a long time. I'm happy to entertain any questions anyone may have at this point from me.
Any
or Tony.
questions from the council members?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I think it's, you know, we're very fortunate as a community to have your leadership, David, Tony, your leadership, and, you know, your partnerships with the other great leaders like Mike Dunn and Bill Chambers, the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, you know, in times of crisis, you know, it's great to have, you know, people who are committed, ensuring that we focus 100% on exactly what you're the expert of, and helping those local businesses survive this. I mean, it's been tough all the way around, and very, very grateful for your commitment, your leadership, and helping us, you know, through this. Very appreciative.
It's yeah. Thank you, sir. Well said.
Not every community has this, but we do, and we're very grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's you know, it's not an entitlement. It's a privilege. So we appreciate those comments. I've asked when we deployed the first, you know, the $12 million, $13 million, people would say, thank you, thank you, thank you. They were so grateful, the business community. What can we do for you? I said, you can go out and find another business that needs assistance and tell them about our programs. And they often did. They often walked up and down the strip plaza and handing out flyers that we gave or pointing them to a website. So I would encourage everyone here and anyone home listening to this broadcast, please check out our Facebook page, go to our website. You will not miss the button that takes you to the programs that we have. And please spread the word. I know Joey, I've already talked to her and Andy, and they'll spread it out. So that's how you can help, other than funding. We appreciate the $50,000 that the city will invest, but outside of that, in addition to that, please share this information about our programs.
Anyone else? David, I want to thank you. You know, Dave and I have breakfast every few weeks, and we talk about where things are.
Your turn to pay too, Jack.
It is. Actually, I thought he was an engineer by degree, but he's not, because he agrees in the KISS principle as I do. And I think that the state would be much better off, and the feds for sure, if they approached everything the way that SWED has approached it. They spend more time thinking about the rules and regulations than they do about getting the money into the people's hands. And Dave and his group have done a remarkable job of that. I know that because of the businesses that I go to, and Dave knows because we see each other at dinner a lot of times, they appreciate it. They appreciate the smoothness of the process. So David, thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, thank you. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a couple of years probably, but thank you for all you do and your support of SWED. And on behalf of the council, keep up the good work. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We need to keep Tony's right hand strong. He signs a lot of checks. So we require, so thank you all for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you.
President Heath, we've got IS, Bill Garrett next.
Okay. Bill?
Hello, how is
It's-
everybody
it's
doing?
Still, it's just turning into afternoon, so good and whatever.
Alright.
It's 12 o'clock.
All right.
You've got the floor. Could you give me
Okay.
your account number so I can get it on the screen here?
Yeah. It's 18,000 is the org, and then we've got a few smattered about 84080 and 81080 on the GIS side of things on the water
Okay.
and sewer.
Let's do
But
the 18. Let's do the 18,000 first.
Okay. Well, the 81 and 84 are all level. It's exactly the same as last year. So there's
Oh,
really
okay.
nothing to. Okay. On the 81, do you want me to start with the critical items, or do
Yes,
you want me to start
please.
with? Okay. In there, we do have one that I did on behalf of Field Ops. It's going to be funded on their accounts, but it's for tablets for the work crews going out in the field. We're implementing in Munis the work order system, which will allow field ops to have the crews in the field use tablets to remote into our system, and then use Munis to assign, do field op, or do the any kind of like pothole fixes, or pretty much any kind of work orders. Do it all remotely without having to have a bunch of pages printed out and then divvied up and handed out to the staff in the office in the morning, and allow them to enter comments, take pictures, do all the stuff that they would like to do from the field without having to kind of come back to the office and do it all there. They can also be dispatched or changed on the fly. It's just going to increase the efficiency of field operations, hopefully by quite a bit with the work crews. Total for that is going to be looking at $600 per tablet, and then it's going to be a $40 a month fee for the Verizon Air cards per tablet. Andy, do you remember if they ended up going with the how many that they ended up going with on that project? Was it the full 15 or was it 7?
I think it was a lower amount.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I don't think we did all 15.
The full, okay. So that's what that cost is. It's so that they can go out and do all the work in the field. So you're looking at just a $630. The Verizon Jetpack is an additional $30 that Verizon charges for the actual cellular device in the tablet. And then it'll allow them to get into our VPN, into our system from the field, and access everything that they would need to in order to do the work orders remotely. Any questions on that item? Okay. The big one that we have this year is it's a small reorg of my department. We're kind of retooling the IT side of things. We've been with the telework and the continued remote working across the city. We started focusing a lot more on security. In the last year or two, there have been a lot of cyber attacks focused on governments, especially on municipal and local. It's a big lucrative target for these hacking groups in order to try to extort money. So we've been focusing on a lot of security things, because we've got a lot of people coming in from outside now that used to be sitting in their offices. And then even as we kind of get the all clear to return to work, a lot of departments are going to continue to allow their staff that's eligible to telework on either a limited or a more kind of permanent basis. So we're focusing kind of doubling down on security, simply because it's the smart thing to do. Even if we weren't doing the telework, it would still be a good thing to invest in. So this year, with some of the money that we've saved due to the teleworking that we weren't planning on doing before the pandemic, we were able to purchase some cybersecurity devices, some firewalls and stuff that we didn't have before, that allow us to kind of view a lot more of the logs and kind of keep track of what's going on security wise around the city. To capitalize on that, the reorg is going to allow us, the idea is to hire a full-time public safety based technician, computer tech and entry-level computer tech. That person will be stationed at the police department in a full-time capacity, sitting in their building, working on their entry-level help desk things, break fixes, printer problems, computer problems, the cameras in the vehicles, the speed cameras, everything with police department technology. Right now, we crunched numbers. The PD in the last year accounted for just shy of 60% of the total IT tickets for the entire city. And we are dedicating about 36% of our total staff hours to the police department. Right now, Brian Woods is, he's the public safety help desk technician. He does the vast majority of that. And then we've got Steve Dickerson, my assistant director on the IT side. He's got a history. He was a former police officer, and he helps out as well with the higher level stuff that Brian needs assistance on. So the idea is to hire another technician to basically replace Brian, and then we would promote Brian to the currently vacant system administrator position that we have. That is he's going to go from grade 5 to grade 8. It's a total change of $689 in salary, so it's not a huge difference there. That would allow Brian to focus on systems administration, checking doing all the server maintenance, server upgrades, patching the servers, making sure that all of our systems and services are secure and updated and patched to avoid any kind of potential problems from outside hackers or any kind of exploits. Right now, Steve Dickerson and myself do the vast majority of that. We split it about 50-50 between ourselves. That would allow, by moving Brian to that position, that would then allow Steve, who is a certified ethical hacker, he's got his actual certification for ethical hacking, to focus a lot of his time, which was spent on server maintenance, on security for the city. It would allow him to check the logs, check the firewalls, make sure everything is secure. I could then help out with that as well. I've got a bit of a background in that. I actually developed the cybersecurity master's program for UMES a few years ago. So between the two of us, we'd be able to focus a lot on the security of the city to make sure that we are as secure as possible. We would then, to pick up the rest of the slack from the city that we kind of do, we would take Jack Pielstick. He's our existing, he's currently our part-time computer tech. He works 29 hours a week. We'd bump him to a regular full-time position, which would be just an extra 6 hours a week that he's currently working now. So the total for that, the entire reorg without the new PD position, is $16,000 a year. When you add in the fringe and salary for the PD staff position, you're looking at about $67,000 a year for the full thing. The main goal of this, like I said, is security, with the additional benefit of giving the police department an on-site tech that they can come to for anything without having to wait for either Brian or Steve or myself to respond to them from our office. I know that was a lot to take in, especially with lots of techno jargon and nerd stuff. So anybody have any specific questions about that, or anything I can kind of explain or discuss further for you guys?
Okay, let's any questions, Angela?
Well, a couple things. Now, so 60%.
You're muted.
On mute.
So you said that 60% of the tech tickets are from the police department. What kind of tickets are they? Is it just like equipment malfunctions? Is it?
It's every right. It's everything. It's literally everything. It's we get occasional tickets for flat tires that we have to send to the quartermaster's office. We don't know why they do that, but they do. We have to. It's vehicles. Technology in the vehicles breaking down. Cameras stop recording. The cameras stop reporting their wireless feed to when they pull in the parking lot, it auto syncs. It stops doing that. It is password changes, people getting locked out of their computers. It is printers not printing properly. It's keyboards not working, mouses on the fritz. It's computers. It's literally everything technology related. It's a lot of it is also that the city doesn't do. The PD has anytime they have any kind of video camera requests from either security or surveillance, either from one of their cameras around the city, the body cameras or the in-car cameras, they have to put a request into the help desk system, and then that is then assigned to one of their records personnel to actually pull so we don't do that, but it still is logged in the system, that their records people use to actually pull the records and then disseminate that information out to whoever needs it.
So I'm going to draw the line between the request that Chief Duncan had for the in-house tech is the same one that Mr.
It's this.
talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. That is this position.
All right. And then you're going to bump up another employee from 29 hours to full-time.
35. Yes, ma'am.
35. And then you want to reclassify another person? for the security
Right.
piece.
Right. The person who is currently our public safety technician would be bumped to system administrator. And then it would allow, then the new hire would take over would backfill that position. And then by promoting or by reclassing Brian into the system admin position, it would allow Steve and myself to focus on more of the security and administration tasks that are being taken up by our time administering the various servers and systems that we do now.
Okay. That's all. Thank you so much for that detailed report.
Thank you, Angela. April,
No questions.
thank you. Michelle,
No questions. Looks good.
thank you. Here,
It sounds like some of your tickets are generated by the problem between the chair and the keyboard.
PEBCAC errors. That's right.
Have we thought about, in some of these instances, putting some more training for some of these positions, technology-wise? Just it's something that maybe we should look at as a city, doing some training exercises for people who, especially when you got some of the positions that a lot of it is, technology-based. They're using a lot of equipment. So I think maybe teaching them some basic troubleshooting stuff on the front side, and that's something maybe we should look into.
That is, I didn't want to say anything about it, but that is something that Steve is going to be looking at as part of the security aspect, is training people, kind of doing, instead of doing, right now we do kind of a standardized canned phishing security test and then training based on whatever kind of problems they have. We're looking at also as part of this offering in-person training, kind of more focused, customized on how to, just basic cybersecurity stuff, but also, before you contact us, try turning your machine off and back on again. Try, just basic stuff along those lines. But we're going to hold off on that until we kind of see how it all played out, depending on the time constraints and what we have available to us at the end of the day, essentially.
Bill, just more of a housekeeping thing. The sales salaries clerical is the new tech.
1 second.
Right. The 501,
yes, well,
001.
Yes, it's the new tech, and then the slight difference in salary between Brian's old position and new position.
From an HR position, shouldn't we have like a position for techs? I mean, a category for techs alone, because clerical doesn't really describe, it's not a clerical job, it's a technician's job, right?
Yeah, we kind of only have two categories. We have clerical and non-clerical. So I guess if we, that's citywide, except for public safety. So like yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question on how we divide up the clerical space.
I would just say, because you have a specialist, somebody looking at this would go, wow, I thought it would be clear. Where does your salary and Steve's salary go?
We all come out of, I think my entire department comes out of salaries clerical. But Brian Woods is currently eligible for overtime, and he does get paid out of the overtime non-clerical account. I'm seeing that here, 501021. So yeah, I'm not sure how that's differentiated on the back end. But yeah, I know that Steve and I are paid out of clerical, and I know that John O'Brien is paid out of water sewer on the clerical side as well. He's on the GIS side of our department, assistant director of GIS.
I would, I'd write that. Just a question. I would maybe get with Jeannie too, and find out from, it probably doesn't bother anybody else, but it bothers me a little. So
I can jump in there.
Keith,
I can jump in there and help a little. That the categories are the categories used for workers' comp, and it supports the audit of the workers' comp activity. So that's the breakdown.
Okay, that ends that discussion, because you don't want to mess around with that. Okay, even though it makes no sense. But anyway, that's I don't have any other questions.
If you want, I can kind of touch on some of the major changes on the budget document if you'd like to. I know this in the Jack's analysis document that we were all sent, there are some, you've got the percentages. I can just touch on the large changes if you're interested or not.
Right ahead.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at, so.
Okay, if you we'll start with after the salary stuff. Everything is pretty much even until you get down to the buildings account, the 534301. We reduced that significantly just simply because we are teleworking. Vast majority is we have 2 guys in the office rotating through periodically every other day, so we're not really in the office to run the various items we need for that. Same thing for the office supplies account, the 546001, that was halved because we're just not in the office doing printing and the stuff that we were doing before. The other things, the travel and the training in schools, the 555, 503, and 504 accounts, those were nixed by about 85 to 90% each, simply because we're not traveling anywhere because of the pandemic. So we cut that. And then training in schools. An interesting thing is that with the pandemic, a lot of technology courses, the people who produce them are making them free. So it's I think it's probably a reason. The reason behind that is to help people find new jobs or find a different industry if they're affected by the pandemic. So we found that a lot of these different training and classes are free. So we've been taking advantage of that. So we scaled that back because we don't see any end of that in sight. And then we reduced our gasoline costs simply because we're not driving anywhere. Driving a lot more limited places than we were before, with just the 2 people in the office periodically. And then that is pretty much it for the large cuts. We did also remove some computer and equipment maintenance stuff because we're not in the office wearing out our stuff the way we usually are.
Is there a coincidence that the computer hardware line matches up with the equipment line, or is that just a
which numbers are those?
58,000, 577,030.
77. Oh, that is part of our CIP. That was the way that the CIP was funded. It was 58,600, and then last year, and then 57,900 for the coming year. That's okay. That's just where the money's being placed for a CIP item for the high availability virtual servers.
Okay. Good.
I have just.
Go ahead, Angela.
I wanted to go back and look at the tablets. If for the field ops.
Yes, ma'am.
2 things. Did field ops put that in their request, in their line item? Okay. So it's not in 2 places, is it?
No, I put it in as a critical item in mine and was just kind of touching on it. It was a placeholder for their project. I just wanted to touch on it and explain what it was for and where the costs were associated and what they would use it for and how it would benefit their department to have that funded.
So is there, or maybe we could have a conversation about this, maybe at another time. It may not be the right time or whatever, I don't know, but are the tablets more of what would be the priority here versus the tablets? Because that's a chunk, maintenance monthly on it, or the fees, the internet cards or the jet packs. I don't know exactly the terminology. To the
there is. So there's the cost of the actual device. So you buy that a few $100s, and then you have the recurring cost to have wireless connectivity out in the field. Right. So whenever you buy one, you have to have the recurring costs. And the goal was what we funded is at any given time, we have anywhere from 6 to 10 teams out in the field. So instead of buying every single individual team one, they would share in kind of more of this communal pack so they can constantly be communicating and checking stuff in the work orders. I don't know how you can reduce like the overhead cost. So once you commit to one, you have to commit to that full package. So the question is,
Right.
We were thinking about how many teams were out in the field at one given time rather than saying, well, let's just do it for utilities. Let's just do it for streets. But say it was everybody that kind of gets deployed out at once, but not make every single person have one, but every team have a communal device. But
Right. And we settled on the Surface tablet as the brand of the product because it has to meet certain requirements in order to, has to be a Windows device, and it has to meet certain requirements for us to remote manage and have it be able to tunnel into our security in order for them to access Munis and use the system from the field.
I see. Thank you.
Okay, Bill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. And keep us safe from a hacking.
I'll do my
situation.
best. I'll do my absolute best.
I know you
Thank-
will.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.
President, last on our agenda is Keith to wrap things up with finance.
Yep.
12:20. So see where we get to.
Okay.
You know what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I put in front of you an org chart. We did have a few tweaks to our org chart. As you know, recently we had the gift from the county of allowing us to do our own tax billing. And prior to that, we had a person that was in charge of billing personal property taxes and licensing and permits and whatnot. And that position was always very busy, but we got by. And all we added when the tax billing came along was a cashier, because we have additional activity that pushed us over the edge. So that's what we got out of the first phase of addressing the additional burden or duties of tax billing. We found that it's pushed us beyond what's reasonable for our staff, and that, so we were fortunate enough to land Kay from the county, who's done an excellent job of tax billing, but she is not able to do that and what used to be Connie's job too, which is address all of the other billing activities. So we've inserted a new position, revenue supervisor. We've allowed the 2 cashiers and the 2 revenue clerks to report to that person versus our assistant director of finance operations. So that makes that wingspan of the assistant director of finance more reasonable, and it addresses the shortage of personnel there. So along with that, in the citywide effort for addressing the career ladders, we've got the career ladders for the cashier starting at a higher level to address the minimum wage. Same for the clerks. And we have a reclass of the utility billing supervisor and the senior tax revenue specialist to a G8, which is a market adjustment to get them where they should be. And that's a quick summary of the tweaks that we made to our department. That's it. Any questions?
Can you give me your account? The account number?
Our account is 15,000.
Any questions from the council members? Mir?
No questions. Thank you, Keith.
Okay. Angela?
No questions.
Michelle?
No questions.
April?
No questions?
Just to repeat, it's one full-time person?
Yes, one full-time person.
Okay, I don't have any questions. It looks fine to me. How come? Oh, no, the retirement did go up. Okay, I see it. First I looked at the line above it and it said zero. I thought it was retirement. I'm like, that can't be, because, okay. I see it's the line, it's the next line down. All right, I don't have any questions as well. I think that finishes us up, correct? For today, Andy?
Yep, that is correct. We will be back here at 8:30 on Wednesday. I'll let our team know Wednesday that we may be moving through it faster than right now. We're scheduled for about every hour, so that we can move through it, but we should be done by around this time, scheduled to be done by 1 o'clock, but I think we'll be done earlier than that on Wednesday. So appreciate everybody's time. Julie says thank you for spending time with us this morning and for all your questions. And if there's any follow-up items, we'll get that information back to you all by Wednesday or sooner if you'd like it.
Okay. I think we have another session too after that, where we can talk about the
All of
pluses
it.
and minuses and stuff. So we're in good shape. Again, I want to thank Keith and his staff for the preparation. I do have one recommendation. I think we should change the one that says Jack's budget. Because I'm not going to be here forever. But I appreciate the acknowledgement. But I will tell you something, Keith. That makes it so much easier.
Good.
You know, I can rank things. It took me half the time to go through it than it did the last year, and last year was good. So thank you and your staff. It's phenomenal.
We're going to do a resolution to keep it like that. That's what we're going to do.
No. But anyway, thank you all to each of the council members for being prepared. And that's what makes it work. And I appreciate that. Also, I see that there's Lynn has been on watching us the whole time. Good to see you, Lynn. And we'll meet on April 21st for everybody at 8:30 in the morning, and we're scheduled to go to 1, and we'll finish when we finish. So thank you very much, everybody. Again, thanks to everybody at home that was watching, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody.